This is VOA News. I'm Tommy McNeil. A new report by the United Nations shown to the Security Council Friday claims that North Korea is working to ensure its weapons cannot be destroyed by military strikes. VOA Steve Miller reports.
The announcement by UN monitors comes ahead of a meeting between US Special Envoy for North Korea Stephen Biegun and his North Korean counterpart in preparation for a second denuclearization summit. The UN report found evidence of North Korea using civilian facilities, including airports, for ballistic missile assembly and testing with the goal of effectively preventing decapitation strikes. U.S. President Donald Trump has hailed tremendous progress in his dealings with North Korea and set the date for his second summit with Kim Jong-Un for February 27th and 28th in Vietnam. Steve Miller, VOA News, Seoul.
U.S. allies have given a cautious welcome to the announcement of a second summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-Un, but the planned meeting was the major foreign policy announcement Tuesday in President Trump's State of the Union.
After dramatically asserting that if he hadn't been elected president, America and North Korea would be fighting a major war now, Donald Trump has acknowledged much work remains to be done in talks. That's quite a shift from the claim right after his June summit with Kim that the nuclear threat from the North was over. The president's tune changed in other ways as well. For example, the word denuclearization was nowhere to be found. Analysts think keeping a lot of wiggle room is a smart move. Intelligence chiefs believe there is little likelihood Kim will voluntarily give up his nuclear weapons or missiles capable of carrying them. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
U.S. lawmakers working to avert another partial government shutdown emerged from a closed-door meeting Wednesday, asserting that an agreement on border security can be reached in the coming days, but indicated that partisan differences do remain on specific elements of a potential deal. More at voanews.com. This is VOA News. Foreign ministers and senior officials from the U.S. Anti-Islamic State Coalition are meeting in Washington to develop plans in response to President Trump's decision to withdraw American forces from Syria. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said it is no time to let up on ISIS.
We must recommit ourselves to the goal of permanently defeating ISIS. For our victory to be final and enduring, ISIS must no longer pose a threat to our respective homelands or function as a global network. There must be no more safe haven from which it can operate.
Some countries are worried that the U.S. troop departure could endanger gains that have swept ISIS from more than 99% of the territory it once held in Iraq and Syria. U.S. officials have repeatedly warned of Iran's destabilizing activities in Syria and across the Middle East. But officials from Baghdad maintain the U.S. military presence in Iraq is a result of an agreement to combat terrorism and that keeping an eye on Tehran is not part of that deal. President Trump's Treasury Department official, David Malpass, is his choice to lead the World Bank. Mr. Trump introduced Malpass Wednesday as the right person to take on this incredibly important job. Malpass is a sharp critic, though, of the 189-nation lending institution. He says he's honored by the nomination, though.
The key goal will be to ensure that women achieve full participation in developing economies.
Malpass says that he will succeed Jim Young Kim, who departed in January, through 3 years before his term was to end. Other candidates will likely be nominated for the post by the bank's member countries. A final decision on a new president will be made up to the bank's board. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is accusing Washington of imperialism in its efforts to oust Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Erdogan's latest verbal attack in support of his ally Maduro comes amid growing U.S. pressure on Ankara to end support for the beleaguered Venezuelan leader, with both Washington and the European Union recognizing Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido as the interim president. Erdogan's strong backing of Maduro puts him on a collision course with his Western allies. Maduro's opponents accuse him of undermining democracy and presiding over skyrocketing inflation and a collapsing economy. Ankara's support of Maduro extends far beyond rhetoric, though. Turkey's processing large amounts of Venezuelan gold. Last year, Caracas exported nearly $900 million worth of gold to Turkey. I'm Tommy McNeil, VOA News.